Hello everyone and welcome back to Project Ozone Reloaded Titan Mode. This is episode 31, I believe. Yeah, 31. Okay, today is going to be another questing episode. It's going to involve a lot of crafting, but it's also going to involve a lot of discussion of what's ahead because we're kind of getting a little closer, not really there yet, but we're getting a little closer to the end game in the sense that we can sort of see the road ahead. Let's take a look at something. This is I think it's chapter Kappa. It's the one for Project E, and I've been kind of looking this over, and there are really a couple of branches in particular that need to be looked at. This one that goes down, which involves it starts with the fuel for days. Everything goes on to this. It involves making a block of Eternalist fuel. This is actually going to be pretty easy. I've already got the recipe set up for the Eternalist. I just have to make 9 of them, and we can go through with that. Then dark matter, which will also be pretty easy. I believe I have all the materials for that, no problem. And red matter, and I think we can do that today. Now, the reason we need to go down this path first is because the next path to go comes here at the alchemical chest, which doesn't involve any of those items. It's pretty straightforward. The most expensive component is a nether star, which I have thousands of now. So the next part after that is the matter condenser. Now, or the energy condenser. The energy condenser is used to convert materials into other materials. Typically, what you do is you put your garbage into it and it converts it into something valuable. It's nice because you can just pipe stuff into it. For example, I will probably want to set one of these down at the mob spawner to take a lot of the junk that's coming from the mob spawner and condense it down into something that, whether it's useful or not, it's more compact and consistent. We convert it into diamonds, for example, or nether stars or something like that, and ship them upstairs and not have to deal with junk swords or bones or whatever. That's the power of the energy condenser, and there are 2 tiers of it. I don't know if we'll be able to make both tiers today because the second tier is a little expensive. I think I do have the materials for it. In a way, this is actually kind of a poor man's version of the transmutation table. Now, the transmutation table is what I would really, really like to have, because this will let you basically convert anything into anything as long as the things being converted have EMC values, which most of the things in the game do. Typically, things that don't have EMC values are things that have it deliberately restricted so that you're sort of forced to go down a particular path with it. And there are a lot of things that do fit that description, but most of the common materials and so on do. The difficulty with the transmutation table here is if we look at the recipe, it is made in the dire crafting table, and really none of these materials are terribly difficult. It looks rather intimidating, but it's really not. The second worst item in it is demon steel of the 6th magnitude, probably. All this other stuff is really not that bad, except for there are 4 infinity stars in it. And these infinity stars, as you can tell by their EMC value of almost 1.4 billion, are extremely pricey items. Actually, they're made in a neutronium compressor, which is a machine I'm nowhere near making yet. And if I interpret this correctly, and I almost hope I'm not, but I might be, it's going to take 40,000 nether stars to make 1 infinity star, which actually means that you lose most of the value of it, because if you actually take this number, the 147,000 on here, multiply it by 40,000, you get a much bigger number than 1.4 billion. Having said that, once you've made one of these, that's the last one you have to make using the neutronium compressor because it does have EMC. you can then go ahead and make the next one using an energy condenser. And it will be a lot cheaper at that point, and you can make it from whatever, not necessarily nether stars. Now, that means that we're quite a ways away from making the transmutation tablet, but it increases the need for energy condensers, because if you've got one of something, you can make another of that item manually if you need to. With the energy condenser, it just takes more time and is more trouble. So that is what I sort of want to focus on just a little bit today, but before we do that, I'm also going to have to be making some more progress in the Avaricia chapter, and I actually have the neutron collector, which is the next item, ready to go in the dire crafting table. So let's go make one of those. It's right here, and it involves a bunch of iron, a bunch of crystal matrix ingot, redstone blocks, blocks of quartz. For a dire crafting table recipe, this is actually very cheap. It's not that bad at all. I'm probably going to have to make a lot of these. This does not have an EMC value, so they all have to be made in this machine. Let me go ahead and pull this out and get quest credit for it. And the bag is an epic one, which probably means it'll have furniture. Chunk loaders. Not quite furniture, but kind of close in some ways. Alright. This actually, if I understand it correctly, I've never used this machine, it doesn't actually consume any power. It just slowly produces these neutrons and ejects them out the back. So I'm just going to sort of put it on the ore processing level here and just set it down next to one of these machines so it'll be next to a pipe. I'll set up another area for it at some point in the future, but we'll just tell it to, well, not do anything right now. It takes several minutes to produce one, so I'm just going to let it go and I'll come back to it in a few minutes, but it is presumably working. Okay, so going back upstairs, let's take a look at that stuff in the other chapter. This actually opens up pile of neutrons. As soon as we have one of them, it will finish this quest. So we'll probably get that one done today too. I don't know how long it'll take. My understanding is that it's several minutes to make just one. So we need to go back down to Kappa, which is ProjectE. Let's make this Eternalist fuel block. Now, if we go back in here and look at it, it's 9 Eternalist fuel just in a block formation. That's no big deal. These are made from Mobius fuel, and you need the Philosopher's Stone to make them. It's a shapeless recipe, just 4 of these fuel and a Philosopher's Stone. And these are actually made from 4 alchemical coal and a Philosopher's Stone. And alchemical coal is just made from coal and a Philosopher's Stone. You can also undo these, so you can see that you can convert Mobius fuel, break it down into its original components by again using the Philosopher's Stone. So the Philosopher's Stone does various sorts of conversion on these fuels. There are actually quite a few recipes that involve it. There are 126 of them here. A lot of them are just smelting recipes, because if you take a Philosopher's Stone and 7 of some ore along with a fuel item like coal or charcoal, it will smelt those items in a crafting table type arrangement, and I guess that's fine. I've never used it that way. However, I did go ahead and set up Eternalist fuel in the system as a recipe and all of its subcombines to get there. So let's just go ahead and make some of that, and once I have 9 of these, I can make the block and finish the quest. And it's being a little slow. I guess it's got to do a lot of combines to do that. And I can go ahead and set up the recipe. It's right there. I don't think I need a recipe for a block of this. I could probably use a compacting drawer to get a block of it in the future if I needed to. Okay, So that finishes that one, and I get my choice of chance icosahedrons, and there's no way of knowing if there's any difference at all between them or if it would matter. Okay, next, since that one's done, we're going to have to go down this path of the dark matter and the red matter. And dark matter is a diamond block surrounded by eternalist fuel again. So let's take my block that I just made and break it back down into its constituent components. And I will want to set up a recipe for this. So let's get a diamond block. And I'll go ahead and make the recipe, and then I'll just craft one. So that did complete it. And we can choose a chance cube. Now I'll toss that back in. And the other one we need is red matter, and red matter is basically 3 dark matter with eternalist fuel. Basically, you can do it either vertically or horizontally, but it's 3 and 6. Alright, so if I just get my dark matter like that, that'll get me a recipe for it, which I can put up here. And all of these have been detection so far, so I can just tell this to make one. Okay, and it involves combines of over 1,000 coals, so it's not going to be fast. Alright, the next one after that, let's go ahead and make the alchemical chest while we're waiting on that, because the alchemical chest does not require any of that matter. So if we come in here and pick the alchemical chest, there we have it. I'll get the recipe. I've already made this covalence dust. I'll look at that in just a minute. It's actually pretty straightforward. Covalence dust, there's a low, a medium, and a high, and these are all just combining some item with fuel. For the low, it's cobblestone, for the medium, it's iron, and for the high, it's a diamond. And the fuel changes too. So for the low, it's 8 cobblestone and a charcoal. For the medium, it's an iron and a redstone. And for the high, it's a diamond and coal. And all of these produce 40. And it's just used in a number of recipes. A lot of the recipes in ProjectE, it's worth mentioning, are actually disabled in this mod pack. So you can't make everything you might want to. It does have the basic matter conversion facilities, which is really why it's here. So let's pop that in there. Now let's see how we are doing on red matter. I've got 1 red matter in here. So if I come back out here, I've got 2 quests completed, red matter. Do I prefer chance or compact giant? Let's go for giant. Bigger is better, right? Okay, a good reward bag that is probably nothing of the sort. An electric chainsaw. Okay, putting all that stuff away. The next one I want to do in here, of course, is, as I already discussed, the energy condenser. Let's talk just a little bit about the other branches, because I'm not going to do them today. I've already explained why I can't do the transmutation table today. The alchemical bag really holds no interest to me. I mean, it's nice in some sense that you can create these bags that can contain a lot of items. They're pretty big bags, and if you have two of them of the same color, they share an inventory, which I suppose means that if you had two of them of the same color and you, let's say, fell out of the world and never managed to recover one of your bags because you were using it to store things, you could use the other bag to access whatever was in it. I've never found these to be all that useful, although they used to be in the original um, equivalent exchange mod that ProjectE is a derivative of. You could use things like the gem of eternal density inside it to take and compress stuff down just like you could in an alchemical chest, I believe. The problem is that's kind of disabled in this mod pack, so you wouldn't need that anyway. But eventually I will want all the Klein stars. Don't need them in the short term. The tools, probably never use them. I just likely won't. With some of them, I mean, if you've got vein miner, you really don't need the digging tools, for example. Although some of the digging tools can make it very easy to dig a long tunnel, and that's somewhat helpful. Having said that, let's move on to the energy condenser. It is a detection task, so I can probably just create a dark matter here and set it up. Don't want the two first. I need this one. This is the lower tier one. It's going to take a while to craft because of all this red matter. So dark matter there. We'll put the recipe in here and tell it to craft one. So one of these will basically replace the trash can down in the basement where I've got the mob spawner, and I'll probably start directing more items to it. I may create another one that sits next to it just to have enough filtering connections to send things through to it. I don't think that I want to take and just push everything through it. There are probably still some mob drops down there that are useful. So while I'm waiting on that, and I think it's probably going to be a while over here because it's still having condensed down 6,000 coal, let's take a look at a different chapter, which is Theta. Eventually, I'm going to need to get materials using dimensions that are RFTools dimensions that I use custom terrain in to generate high-value blocks in order to get the sheer vast quantities of material I'm going to need here. So let's go ahead and make just a little bit of progress on this one. The inscriber is a pretty simple recipe. I should have all those materials on hand. Let's see. Don't have the center part, the machine frame. I thought I made some of those. I guess I didn't. Let's just make a bunch of them. Oh, I don't have fluxed electrum for making those. That's why I didn't make them. I made some fluxed electrum instead. I need to actually automate a few more of the alloys. Electrum and fluxed electrum are things that I have not automated yet, and I really should have a long time ago. But we do have it now, so let's bring this over here, and there we go. So we've got the dimension inscriber, and Just pick a bag. It's a basic one. Soap and water. These do have EMC though, so I know exactly what box I can toss them in. Alright, and we'll go ahead and do the next one here. The RF builder builds dimensions using redstone flux ready to be dialed by the dialer. So this one is also pretty simple. Just some vanilla materials. And that machine frame. And what was that thing called? Dimension builder. Right there. So ender pearls, emeralds, diamonds. If you were looking at this early game, it might be a little bit intimidating, but certainly not now. And the one after that is going to be the matter receiver, which is also just some vanilla materials around one of those machine frames. Wrong place to be typing it. So there's one of those. I'll pick a reward bag. It'll probably be a junky one. It was that basic one, I think. Lamps. I could have had a quarter heart, but I got lamps. Heart glass. Okay, that crafting recipe is still going over here. We're about 3/4 done. So continuing over here, now we need the matter transmitter, which is, again, pretty simple. Probably should have done these a long time ago because they're so simple. I've just had other priorities in trying to progress. I don't have any mining apparatus yet, so that is part of the reason for not making any progress here, because it doesn't really do me any good without something to mine out. I don't need more dimensions just to explore. Artifact. A confectioner's stone ring places cakes on solid surfaces when used. I wonder if this takes damage. Yes, it does. So it can place a limited number of cakes down. Dimension tab. That's this one right here, isn't it? Just paper and redstone. Empty dimension tab. That's what I just made, isn't it? Needs to be a crafting task, but I thought I did it that way. Okay, I just had to make 2 in order to get credit for it, but I will probably use 2. Or processing. Okay, so peeking over there, that has changed. Let's take a look at that item. So it's the energy condenser, and I can just come over here, and this one was finished a long time ago. All I had to do was pick up those shards. Let me just get that. It's a basic one. with an iron paxil. Okay. The other chapter, the Kappa chapter now, let's come back over here. Now that we've got the energy condenser, this is the first tier. It's pretty slow, and it doesn't have as large an inventory, I don't believe. So, Titan and Jukebox. So what you can do with the energy condenser, you just plop it down. We've got an inventory and we've got a bar up here. So let me just come over here and let's pull out a diamond and some iron horse armor. Okay, so let's put a diamond up here, and this establishes the template for what we're going to be converting. So if I put my iron horse armor in here, it's going to take and convert the iron horse armor into diamonds. I can also throw in a jukebox. Now if I try to throw Titan in, it's not going to go in because it doesn't have an EMC value. Same thing for this item here, but the cube does, so I can put it in there. The Paxil doesn't, so I can't put it in there. So this is a way of converting things into other things. It's not as nice as the transmutation tablet. One thing that is potentially an issue is, well, I just pulled that out and it went to 0, which is not what I'm used to seeing. Okay, so you do have some potential to lose some EMC there in the conversion process if you pull it out prematurely. You can probably take and just throw cobblestone in it until you get enough to actually get it to 0 again and pull that out. You just have to take the extra time to do it. So let me go ahead and break that, and I will do something with that. And I don't think, well, yeah, let me go ahead and see if I can make this one last one here. The energy condenser Mark II. No, it requires too much of this red matter and dark matter, so I'm going to have to hold off on that until next episode. Well, maybe not. Let's try something here. If I get the energy condenser and put it down and get a piece of dark matter, that's a dark steel grinding ball. So I'm going to make one piece of dark matter, and then one of the things that I noticed here in the terminal, by the way, you've got all these different options for how to sort it, and there's one of them that says no such message. The no such message is actually sorting by stack EMC. So this stack of nether stars has the most EMC at nearly 400 million, and then these diamonds are next, and then all this cobblestone, and then energetic alloy. So that is worth knowing. I didn't realize that at first. Let me go ahead and pull out some blocks of ardite, because I really have no use for ardite, but I've got cows that make it, and so I have a bunch of it in here. And I'll just pull out a whole bunch of them. It has finished making that dark matter, so let me put this dark matter in here and toss in some ardite. So now I'm using it as a fast way to make dark matter. And it is pretty fast for making dark matter this way. So let's take some of this dark matter out and toss it in here, and let's make some red matter. And that may take a while. So to make the upgrade to this box, I need 4 dark matter and 4 red matter to go with an alchemical chest. Well, 4 dark matter, this is going to be blocks this time, I think. I pulled up the wrong one, but it's going to be the same pattern, just the blocks. So there we go. We've got 4 dark matter blocks. Don't want to throw that on the ground. Now I'm going to need 4 red matter blocks. Have we finished our red matter yet? Yes. So I will... Let's see if we can get this a little closer before I risk losing it. Okay, well, I messed that one up. Maybe I can do it. We'll pull that out there. We'll just pop that in there, overriding. Nope, I still lost it. Okay, that's fine. I lost 1 block of Ardite. But I will have to be more careful with this red matter because it's much more pricey. So I'm going to need... Oh, it brought the number back, so I didn't really lose anything. I just sort of visibly appeared to lose it while I didn't have anything in there. That is not a convention I have seen on this block before. Let's toss that dark matter in there. So we've got 16 red matter, which is 4 blocks. Now I just need to put enough of this stuff in here because I will have to break the block this time. Okay. And let's get something cheaper. Maybe some iron ingots. No, Invar will do. So let me pull this out. And if I put Invar in here, we've recovered it as Invar. Okay. And I can definitely afford to lose an Invar ingot. That's not a problem. So bringing this over here, energy condenser for red matter, for dark matter, all of it in block form there, and we can pull out the energy condenser Mark II. And we finished that quest. So with that, oh, Bedrock. It says EMC reward. Yeah, Bedrock has 8 million EMC. How about that? Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the episode. I did get accomplished what I wanted to get done on camera today. In the near future, we probably won't be doing quite as many of these questing rewards because the ones I really want to do are a lot harder to do, and a lot of the ones that are down in some of these earlier chapters are not as interesting. I just picked a chapter that's totally the wrong one to look at for that purpose because I still need to do this pneumaticraft at some point and make some mining machines, but I'm going to try to slow down on just trying to cram quests in, and I think I should be able to do that at this point because I'm going to be much more focused on gaining massive amounts of resources. So, if you found this episode useful, I hope you will consider liking, subscribing, commenting, or sharing. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.